In this video, I want to talk about the dock. You remember that the dock lives here at the bottom of your screen. And you can see that there's a dividing line here. And if I hover over the line, I get double arrows. That means I can click and I can drag up to make it bigger, and I can drag down to make it smaller. So that's a good way to customize the size of these icons. The left side of the dock holds applications, and you probably have a lot of applications there. I've taken them out because I'm kind of a minimalist, so I don't want to see a lot of applications in there. On the right side of this divider are folders. So by default, you have the downloads folder here, and anything you download from the internet will be placed in this folder. I've also got a trash can. Similar to the recycle bin on Windows PC, when I delete something, it's not really deleted, it's just placed in the trash can, and then from the trash can, we can delete it permanently. So I always like to customize my dock. There are probably applications in here that you're never going to use. Why keep them around in the dock cluttering up space? So to remove an application from the dock, just click on it and drag it out. You'll see the word remove appear over it, and then you can let it go. If you don't see that word, drag it a little farther. It seems that you have to drag those icons about halfway up the screen, and then you can remove them. Now you may want to put other applications in the dock. So I've got a Finder window open here, and you can get to this by just clicking on the smiling face Finder, and then I'm going to click here on Applications. Now there's a few applications that I use all the time, like Apple's Pages app. So I'm going to click and I'm just going to drag this into the dock, and you can see a space opens up for it, and then I can let it go. And now I've got that shortcut to this application here. Be sure you don't drag these applications and drop them somewhere else. You definitely want to drop them in the dock so that you don't move the application to somewhere else on your computer. I'm going to drag the Launchpad app into the dock because we'll take a look at that later. Okay, so now that I've customized my applications, can I do the same thing with the folders on the right side of the divider? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to come here to Documents, and I've got a folder for this course. I'm going to drag this folder down here next to the downloads, and I want to put it on this side. So I just hover over it, and a space will open up, and now I can let it go, and I've got that folder here. The great thing about the dock is that you can see little thumbnail images of the contents of these folders, and when you click on them, you get a little fan or grid of the contents of that folder. You even get a little shortcut to open that folder within the Finder. Okay, let's customize the dock a little bit more. I'm going to hover my mouse over this divider line, and I'm going to right click or hold down Control and click. And you can see I've got a bunch of options here. So I can turn hiding on, and I'd like to do that. Now the dock automatically hides when I'm not using it. But if I just bring my mouse down to the middle of the screen, the very bottom, it pops back up. So I like that. I'm on a laptop and I don't have much screen real estate, so I want to always hide the dock. I can also change the position on the screen. I typically don't like the dock on the bottom of the screen. I like to put it on the right side of the screen, so I'm going to highlight right, and click right. Now if you just saw that the dock moved over to the right and it's hiding, so whenever I move my mouse to the right edge of the screen, the dock will pop up and I can access it. I'm going to right click on the divider line again and go to Dock Preferences. This opens that System Preferences application and gives me all of the options that I saw before. There's one option here to show recent applications in the dock. I personally don't care for this, so I've unchecked it, but you may enjoy seeing your recent applications in the dock. So if I hover back over the dock, I now have 3 sections of applications. I've got these applications here, got a couple applications that are open right now, and then I've got my folders. As I use my Mac more, different applications will show in those sections. I typically don't like this, so I'm going to uncheck that. There's a little option here to automatically hide and show the menu bar. My personal feeling is that I never want that to happen. I always want to have the menu bar at the top of my screen so I can access all of the functions. I'm going to leave this just like I want it, and I'm going to click on the red stoplight. If you recall from our last video, clicking on the red stoplight was not supposed to quit the application. But let me look at my dock. System Preferences application is not running anymore. So to call back to that lesson, why did the System Preferences application quit and close when I clicked on the red stoplight? As near as I can tell, if an application can only have one window, clicking on the red stoplight will quit the application. But when the application has more than one window, clicking on the red stoplight will only close the window but leave the application running in the background. Let's talk a little bit about working with the dock. So here I've got my dock open. In our last section, you saw that we customized the dock so that it's appearing on the right side, but if you move away from it, it hides and it appears automatically. Now remember, in this top section we have different applications, and if we click and hold on an application or we right click, we get a little menu that pops up. In this top section you're seeing recently opened items for this application. In the middle section you have windows that are currently open, and then you've got some options down here. So let's click on these options and see what they do. Under the options menu, we typically want to keep applications in the dock. We also have the option to open this at login, so anytime we start our computer, this application can open up automatically for us. We can also show this application within the Finder. If we click on Show All Windows, we get something called App Expose. And here you can see the two windows of pages that we have open. And down here, we have some of the recently opened items. This is kind of a nice view if you're looking for a document that you're working on. I'm just going to click on one of these, come back to the dock. And back here we can hide. So all the windows are now hidden, and we're back to our desktop. Now we can show all the windows again. And of course we can quit the application. And if we quit the application, all the windows disappear. Now let's take a look at the file section. So below this separator are the file folders. So I've got the Master Your Mac folder here, and I've got the Downloads folder, and of course the trash can. So if I right click on one of these folders, I do get some options. So I could sort this by different criteria. So if I wanted to sort by name, we could do that. And display as folder versus stack. So right now it's set to stack, and you can see kind of a preview of each of the items in here in a stack. But if I change this to folder, now you can see that that's just a folder. My preference is to view that as a stack. Okay, let's look at something else. View content as grid, list, or automatic. Right now when I click on the Downloads folder, it gives me a grid of all the items. And that's kind of a nice way to get an overview of everything that's in this folder. If I change this to list, when I click on this, I just get a list. So if you've got a lot of items, this one might be a good way to go. I tend to like the more visual methods, so I'm going to choose either automatic or grid. The last thing here we have is a trash can. Let me click on it to open up the trash. So I've got a number of files in here in the trash, and you can see I have a button here to empty the trash. But if I'm just in the dock, I can right click on the trash can and empty it from right here. I usually get a confirmation because once I delete these, they are gone. But let me empty those. Now my trash can is empty, and all those files have been completely deleted off of my computer. These are the basics of working with the dock. It's a really handy place to store your applications as well as folders.